Going on Jerome's. Happy Monday. Well, we'll see. But sun came up, even though it's kind of cloudy. Whatever. Raw, real garage rant, messy ass garage rant is what it is. But your Vikings, the fact that they shoulda, coulda, woulda beat the Bucks, but they beat themselves. They should have beat the Eagles. They were the better team on Thursday night, but they beat themselves. And they should have beat the Chargers, but they beat themselves. And the Vikings are 0-3. And this time of year, actually, even before the start of the season, like all the people who have the bright idea of tanking come into play. Now, I don't agree with the premise, but I understand it. Like the entire theory is, trying to see the forest through the trees. Again, I disagree with it. I think it's incorrect, but I get it. Where, hey, have a down season, get your quarterback of the future, and then rise like a phoenix and go from there, right? But there's several issues with that. I mean, so first off, getting your quarterback out at the top of the draft, like, I don't know, the Jets and Zach Wilson, or the Bears and Justin Fields, or example XYZ throughout history. And thing is, too, like all the teams that are consistently drafting at the top of the draft over the last couple of decades, you look at the Jets, you look at the Lions, you look at the Browns, you look at the Bengals before they got good. Well, they're bad again this year. I mean, they're consistently, you look at the Texans. I mean, they're always drafting at the top of the draft. You would think with all those high draft picks that you're guaranteed to start winning some games. Ain't the truth, man. Ain't the truth. Like, the draft is the ultimate gamble, and especially up at the top. So, even though I believe that Caleb Williams is going to be a stud in this league, he's not guaranteed. Like he has just as high of a bust rate as some of these other quarterbacks. I mean, can't miss guys like Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Leaf and Rick Meyer and Mark Sanchez and RG3 and Jameis and Mariota and Carson Wentz and blah, blah, blah. Like you can go through the history. Like there's so many quarterbacks drafted high that did not work out. And also the mechanics of tanking, it's impossible. It is because number one, you're telling your players, hey, hopefully you play to lose, and no self-respecting professional is going to do that. Like they're going to strap it on, they're going to go out there, they're going to try and win a game. Like they could be 0-10, week 12, after their bye week, they're still just going to try and get out there and win. And that's what they want to do, right? They're playing for themselves, they're playing for each other. That's what they do. And also, if you legitimately want a player to play to lose, like that shows up on tape. Tape don't lie. And guess what? Hey, well, I played to lose, so I mean, I'm going to get rewarded by this team, right? Now, they're going to cut your lazy ass. And also, since it's out on tape, you're not going to get signed for agency. I mean, so guys are playing for livelihoods, and also they got pride, so they're not going to lose on purpose. And then, two, coaches aren't going to coach to lose. Like, even allegedly, if ownership who want to tank come and offer incentives and a little bit of dough to head coaches to lose games, they ain't going to do it. I'm not going to say who that coach or owner allegedly is, but let's just say that he's near and dear to our hearts. So coaches are going to coach to win because A, they want to stay employed, and B, if it doesn't work out with this team, they want to land another job. And coaching horrifically bad, coaching to lose, ain't going to do it. All right, so basically, the only way to tank is to field a team that is so terrible that despite the players' best efforts and despite the coach's best efforts, they still lose games. Like the movie Major League. By the way, that team won. No big deal. So as much as fans literally just want the Vikings to lose games and get a better draft pick to select a guy high who may not work out, it's not going to happen because this team is too damn talented. They'll accidentally win 7-8 games. And they'll just go from there, man. But so basically, at the end of the day, you're just rooting for your team to lose. And I feel like that's such bad karma. And you look at some of the fan bases that have been down for years. You look at the Jets specifically. You look at the Lions before they became the cat's ass. You look at the Browns historically. And a lot of times, I mean, their fans are rooting for the team to lose. And then they get a high draft pick, and the draft pick doesn't work out. Rinse and repeat. Don't want to be in that. No, call me old-fashioned, but I want my team to win games, and I want to, as long as they got breath in their lungs, as long as they're still mathematically alive for the playoffs, get in the dance, you got a chance with JJ and Kirko, etc. So, I don't know. The whole thing about it is also that ownership is not going to fire Kwesi. Like, ownership's not gonna fire. Like, you may dislike Kwesi, that's fine. Like, I like him. I believe what he and Kevin O'Connell are building. I will point out mistakes when they make them, call balls and strikes, but ownership is not gonna fire Kwesi. So basically, you're rooting for your favorite team to lose games, and then you're rooting for Kwesi, a general manager you did not trust, to have a high draft pick to draft a quarterback who could still bust. That's what you're saying. It's just, it's, I don't know. It's too simplistic. It's too reductive. It's too whatever. And yeah, Caleb Williams may be a generational talent. Everyone's been comparing him to Mahomes for the last 2 years, but he could still bust. He absolutely could. Like, how many can't miss prospects have come into the National Football League and just the whiff? I mean, how many have we seen from the Vikings? I mean, Matt Khalil was a generational left tackle at number four, up at the top of the draft, number 4 overall, after the Vikings traded down with the Browns. Yeah, no big deal. How'd that work out? So you draft where you draft, and you can always trade up. And also, this is probably going to be the best quarterback class in the NFL draft history since 1983. So you can still find your guy without losing games intentionally, which is just ridiculous. And again, it'd be one thing if the Vikings were getting boat raced 70-20 in all 3 of these games, but the Vikings, with a couple bounces of the ball, literally, and if they didn't beat themselves, it could just as easily be 3-0 as it could be 0-3. It's all within one standard deviation of the mean. So we'll see what happens. Again, I'm rooting for the Vikings to kick some Panthers ass, and then come home and kick some Chiefs ass, and then go on the road, kick some Bears ass, come home, kick some Niners ass. All right, so we'll see what happens. This team is way too damn talented to completely go tits up, but we'll see. We'll see, man. Anyways, your thoughts are thoughts. Raw, real, garage rant. You know what to do. Skull, no production value.